Hey everybody, welcome back to the Electric Avenue chat, video chat here. I am your host. uh, Thanks for taking the time to watch these things. I feel like I got a lot of feedback last time about people actually watching these things, which sort of is humbling and amazing, and thank you very much. Um, I've been going through a little bit of a rough week this week with some personal issues, and it's just people showing their sort of ugly side, unfortunately. And so we're trying to figure out how to deal with that and just plowing forward and trying to be optimistic about things with music and the business and all that. So I just want to show things tonight that are, or today, that are a little bit of a mix of new this week and some things from last week and some other things I want to highlight, and then talk about a couple of little things. So it's going to be a short one. All right. So, hey, last week we got the new George Harrison All Things Must Pass box set. This is the 3 record set. It's very nice. I love what they did with the spines on these, right? There's actually like the massive LP, 8 LP version, and the CD box set. Those things I'm going to be on special order only sort of status from here on out, because they're sort of big and expensive. You just don't want them cluttering up your shelves when, I know it's George Harrison, but when you've got like all these other things that are constantly turning and whatever. And it's like you sort of take chances on a lot of stuff. I don't know how other stores operate, but independent stores like mine, vinyl is not returnable. So if it doesn't sell, you got to find ways to sell it. And so you really don't want to get stuck with big sets like that. So anyway, people say it sounds great, except for that one guy that played on it who seems to have an axe to grind. I don't know. All right. Grateful Dead, Skull and Roses. It's out on remastered double vinyl. Dead fans, I think you're going to want this. It's supposed to sound really, really good. Another one that I haven't seen for a while and is newly mastered is Pearl Jam's No Code. And these are apparently already running out at the warehouses, and it's been out of print now for a few years, I think. This is just sort of a repressing, I believe, but I don't know. I'm hearing that it could possibly be. I think it might. I don't know if it's clear vinyl or not. Anyway, Pearl Jam fans, you've already figured it out. One that I'm really excited about, is Tori Amos, Under the Pink. So this record had been reissued once before, and it was 5 years ago. And apparently there was some sort of issue with the mastering of it, and there were problems during some song or whatever. So this has now been fixed and expanded to 2 LPs, which is nice because it's a fairly long album. I think the last track was almost 10 minutes long. So, and that was her sophomore album, which was a pretty big hit. Had Trent Reznor on a song, I believe. So, all right, King Gizzard. These are not necessarily, you go, well, I know Infest the Rat's Nest. But one of these is the Martian version, and the other one is the Venusian version. The pressings are on Orange and Black Galaxy and Black and Transparent Galaxy colored vinyl. I think they only made a couple thousand of each of those. That album had been sort of kind of going out of print this summer, and then I think they were holding off so they could put that out. So anyway, grab it while you can, because I don't think it's going to be around long. Hey, a new Killers record. So Brandon Flowers got super busy during the pandemic, and Pressure Machine is the new one. The last one was Imploding the Mirage, came out about a year ago. That album was sort of big and epic and like lots of like sing-along choruses. And then this one is supposed to be, I haven't heard it yet, it's supposed to be a lot more intimate and kind of about his home life growing up in Utah. And the sort of like people that you come across. I'm kind of intrigued. I want to hear that. Phoebe Bridgers has a song on there with him too. So, which by the way, Punisher's been sort of impossible to get for 2 or 3 months now. It's just they just can't make these records fast enough. And in the case of her, she's a pretty big artist and still selling, so it's disconcerting because she's always sort of losing sales that she could be having because they can't make the product. A couple of Tone Poet Blue Notes came out last week. McCoy Tyner's Expansions and Sonny Clark's My Conception. These are audiophile quality pressings of sort of unique Blue Note records that you don't see all the time. Very nice cardstock jackets. They're sort of like their answer to a Mobile Fidelity, but not quite so expensive. So those are always very popular. I think they're doing a great job with those series. They can't stop now because people love them so much. New records, Jungle, it's a UK R&B sort of dance group. Their new album, Loving in Stereo. I really liked the singles that I heard from that. Jade Bird, Different Kinds of Light. She's sort of blowing me away too. Sort of a young singer-songwriter, very strong voice. I think you probably would hear her alongside someone like probably Brandi Carlile kind of voice. Okay. DriveBy Truckers, Plan 9, live 2006. So Jason Isbell was there still. I gotta say, DriveBy Truckers have really been kind of putting stuff out there for their fans, especially during the pandemic, as has Jason. They're great guys, I think, and for doing all that. Here's Brian May's reissue of Back to the Light. His first time on albums since 1992. So that's a long time. What, 29 years without being on vinyl? Get it while you can, because I doubt it will be around for very long. A band we haven't heard from in a while, interesting, is Night Ranger's new record. And the band Played On. And ironically, Midnight Madness was reissued on colored vinyl to go along with it. Well, not to go along with it. It just happened to come out at the same time again. It has Sister Christian and When You Close Your Eyes. That's a lot of Night Ranger talk. And Wishbone Ash, another one that was sort of reissued at the same time. This label, Culture Factory, they also put out a Diana Ross. I'm trying to think of what else. There were a few that were sort of limited that they just kind of dropped back out there. This is what's happening now, is we don't even really know what's coming, and then all of a sudden it's here. So go figure. All right. One of my favorite bands from the 80s that sort of like people don't talk about much, as much as they should, is Squiddy Politi. And this album in particular, Cupid and Psyche 85, is the sort of classic pop album that most people would know from the song Perfect Day. And then Anomie and Bonhomie is their sort of late 90s kind of excursion into hip-hop, pop, soul kind of stuff. It wasn't a big seller, so it's interesting that it's out on vinyl at all. This album I can't recommend highly enough if you like sort of like mid 80s, kind of like the sort of Duran era, or Madonna, that sort of thing. In fact, I think they were on Madonna's Who's That Girl soundtrack. But anyway, the cool thing about this album is not only is it like a great sort of pop soul record, but the production is probably about the best you'll find on an 80s pop record. And so much so that Elton John, his story was that every time he would go into a used record store and he saw Cupid and Psyche, he would buy a copy and give it to a friend because, in his opinion, it was the best produced album of that era. And so that's really saying something. I think Arif Mardin did a lot of the production on it, who also, I mean, he's a legend for, sort of the Ray Charles era, but or so Aretha. Then like later on worked with Nora Jones. Did her debut record. So the guy knows sound, new sound. So anyway, another 90s artist, Sponge. Haven't heard from them in a while. New record. So it's just showing a few random things here because these are things that like I feel like I haven't seen them in 2021 at all until now. We're halfway through the year. Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever, got a couple of those. Neil Young's Harvest Moon. I mean, these are records that you would sort of think, well, those have to be there all the time. I mean, it's really been kind of tough getting some of this stuff. Radiohead's and Rainbows, very spotty. It'll be there for a week or two and then it's gone. So if you're looking for those, I wouldn't wait. Same thing with Daft Punk, Random Access Memories. R.I.P. Daft Punk, great album. If you were talking production, I think this, along with that Squiddy Politi, are probably two of the best ever. I mean, Mumford & Sons, Sigh No More, you're like, really? We haven't had a domestic version of this maybe all year. And so I finally saw that there were imports of it and broke down and ordered it. Now, it's $32 now instead of the $20 that it was when it was domestic. But if you can't get it, it's like beggars can't be choosers. This is where we're sort of hitting problems with supply and demand right now because we just can't. I don't think any American store can really get much stuff without spending extra. I don't know if it's Brexit, if it's the shipping, if it's like what it is, but all of a sudden I've noticed a few records just to really put it home for you. Green Day's American Idiot, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, and what's the other one I saw? The New Order's Low Life. Those three records used to sell in the store for under $30, and now they're like $52 to get, and that's just the retail, suggested retail in the store. So somebody said to me, they're like, go on Amazon and look and see if you can get the New Order for cheaper. And it was actually like $58 or $59. It was more. So, you know, what am I telling you is I'm sorry, but this is where we're at in this pandemic world. One of my favorite albums of all time, Depeche Mode, Violator. This is the import version. Normally we sell the domestic for $22, $21. This is $40. I mean, it's one of the best albums ever made, so if you are saying like, well, I don't know if I should do that, I mean, not only is it one of the best ever made, but this is a fairly quality UK pressing. But yeah, it's sort of unfortunate. I don't know what to say except I think we're sort of stuck in this mode for a while, especially with all the people at home sort of buying records and for the first time. A lot of young people, more and more young people. I think it's great. It's what we sort of wanted, but at the same time, it's like be careful what you wish for because then you've got too much interest and you can't seem to meet all the demand. Another one that I still have a few copies left is Billie Eilish, which is surprising to me that there's still some hanging around, but probably because we're out of the brown and this is the 100% recycled black vinyl version. And so, look, if you're going to buy this, I would say you can feel good about buying the recycled vinyl version because you're doing something good for the environment. And it's actually a really good record. I really like it. And for a limited time, they sent us these wonderful little, I don't know, should I call it fetch? Is that a word that kids still use? No. These wonderful little scarves. Oh, look in the bottom says happier than ever, right? So, yeah. Am I like working Billy here? No, come on. Anyway, and then the final thing, before I get on to this last thing, I just wanted to say here are some of the records coming out that you might want to check out if you're interested in. Lord's new album is out next week. Speaking of Billie Eilish, sort of in that genre, but Solar Power is such a great song. And also King Gizzard's Butterfly 3000, which is, thank God that's finally coming out. So great album. It's very Tame Impala-esque, if you like that. And you're sort of unsure about what King Gizzard sounds like. It's probably one of their most accessible albums. But it's also very interesting that they have like 10 different versions coming out on vinyl. And they're all sort of different from nationalities speaking. Like there's a Turkish one and a Mandarin one. And so I don't know what all that means. If it's the cover art, I guess we'll find out. Also, Olivia Rodrigo's album comes out on vinyl, which I think some people are waiting for because girl is talented. And then September 3rd, we've got Iron Maiden's new release coming, which is supposed to be a big opus. Probably, I can't remember how long. It's like 80, 90 minutes or something like that. It's a long record. Modest Mouse the week following. It was supposed to be end of August. The CD's been out since June. And that's a great album. That'll be coming out on vinyl second week of September. And then Metallica's box set for the Black Album, which today is the 30th anniversary of the release of the Black Album. So if you're feeling like, oh my God, am I that old? You are. And it was a great thing that when it came out, it was extremely popular, and it's still popular today. So they're going to be reissuing that in a bunch of different sort of formats. Also today is National Record Day, so I don't know if people were aware of that, but that's kind of a weird thing. It sort of got sprung on me yesterday when some police officers locally were in here doing a photo op with some records and said, hey, do you know tomorrow's National Record Day? And I was like, no. And in England, they actually have one in September that's some kind of like, they actually put out records to buy. And the U.S. is just sort of like, it's a day. So whatever, go figure. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show is something that's going to creep from the side of the screen here. Can you believe it? Oh, no, he does not. Yeah, I actually have a couple of these. Thankfully, our distributors were kind enough to say, you know what? We have a few of these left that we found, and we'd like you guys to have them. So I'm going to put this out on the sales floor on Friday the 13th, and we'll see how fast it goes. They may be gone by the time y'all watch these videos, but I just want you to know that you got to get your Foo Fighters Bee Gees groove on with Hail Satin. And yeah, so it actually does exist. There's still some in existence. Oh, that haven't been opened. Please don't take this and run to the internet and flip it. I mean, this should go to Foo Fighters lovers or Bee Gees lovers, right? Try not to make so much profit off of things. I know you're all so tempted by those Discogs prices, but it is about enjoying the music at the end of the day, isn't it? So, all right, this has been kind of a weird video, a rant at times, sort of too much information at times, but I just want to kind of like share those things with you. And I don't know, maybe at some point I need to get somebody else in some of these, so it's not just my ugly mug that you're always staring at. All right, hey, thank you so much. And oh, where are the peaches? All right, you'll know what I'm talking about if you know peaches. All right, thank you, have a great weekend.